This is the Romanian, Razvanili. Well, why are so few countries competing? In fact, I can have to tell you that there are 47 countries, so it's not so few. The reality is that we're only televising the A finals, so you're seeing the very best. But there are, I promise you, competitors from 47 countries, many of whom are competing in the B and C groups, which take place earlier in the day. Now, that's a good lift there by the Romanian. And that will give him a lot of confidence because he failed at that weight the first time. Shakes his head, but he's got the advantage also of being the light man. So if he can get an extra few kilos, he might move up the table a little bit.
He put 100% into that lift. It's a shame that he missed it the first time, and that was probably why he was disappointed as he walked off the stage. Because, as you say, David, you have 3 cards, and it's nice to play them all and win.
And your third question you asked about from where are the judges? Well, they're all members of the International Weightlifting Federation. They all have to sit exams regularly, and their licenses are revalidated, particularly before the World Championships. And the 3 judges are drawn at random to adjudicate each of the classes throughout the day. But they are not all former weightlifters, but a good many are. So this is Tanev.
Oh, well, 3 good lifts.
Well, that's a really good comeback. 150, 155, 160, and he deserves that applause. So the man from Schumann, high fives as he goes back to now think about his clean and jerk preparation. But this was good, David.
Yes, I mean, he hasn't lifted for a while. Went through 3 good snatches. Very precise technician, really puts the bar in the right place each time.
But he also moves this with speed. You're watching it in slow motion, but this is really quick.
Yes, not just the pull, but he really manages to get under the bar quick, which of course the quicker you get under the bar, the less time the bar has to start travelling back down. So not just about strength, but also about speed and technique.
Poland now. Arkadiusz Smolka, 160 for him. Now this is quite interesting because he failed at 155 the first time, got it on the second attempt, so this is a 5 kilo interest. I think this is going to push him all the way, David. But he is strong.
Yes, very soft in the shoulders, and every lift he does, it makes you wonder if the referees are going to give him 3 whites, but they do, so that's a good lift.
This is the man who we're told has improved by 17 kilos. But you're told lots of stories like that here. He does wobble about a bit.
Yes, seems to have a soft shoulder lock.
Now, big moment here for Zhang Zhugan. He's got 2 failures. This is 1/6, so he's increased the bar for his 3rd attempt. If he misses this, he can't get a total. And I'm afraid it's a pretty poor day for the Chinaman. The Olympic champion, head just dropped there. The spirit's really drained out of him, along with the strength. Well, that's a bit of a surprise, David. One of the men we thought would be fighting out for the medals. A really very, very poor performance. Perhaps the statistics of the Chinaman in Ramat Gan in Israel, 155 for the snatch. What he actually achieved in April, he hasn't managed to do that here.
No, I mean, there's so many reasons. He could have been injured. could have had a rest from training. Perhaps again he's thinking about the Olympic Games.
Hang on, this is the World Championships. You don't come here just to compete, you know, sort of as a sort of training exercise. And certainly the Chinese are not in the habit of bringing people for training exercises. Ferry also finding 160, too much for him, and so he drops back to 155. So it's quite interesting at the moment. The man who's leading the competition is Arkadiusz Smolka of Poland with a light body weight of 75.78. And he's got 160. So has Ingo Steinhoffel, but he's heavier. But still, Karatur Kepanexian of Armenia to start his challenge. The very experienced Armenian, and he's posted 162.5 as his entry weight. This is Oleg Pechenov of Russia. And again, it's not going to depose the Pole from first place at the moment, because he's almost the heaviest in the field. But more importantly, he's finally got the lift in.
A very explosive lifter, really, I mean, when you consider there's 350 pounds on that bar, the kind of explosive strength that it takes to move a bar at that speed is incredible.
We're now onto stage for his first lift at 162.5 kilos. Karatur Kepanexian of Armenia. Nickname, fortunately for us, is Kaki, so that's what we're going to refer to him as. He snatched 165 kilos in the Europeans, so he's come in a couple of kilos below that. No problem with that. That was very well executed.
Yes, of course, he takes the lead for the time being anyway.
Body weight of 76.61. So Smolka drops down a place. Textbook. Very good indeed.
Yes, and of course, ever creeping closer and closer towards that world standard of 167.5. Mirazoyan there, the coach, ex-weightlifter and world champion.
Now, Mehmet Yilmaz of Turkey, 5 kilo increase from his first lift, but looked very positive on the first attempt. Bar didn't actually get over his head that time.
No, I think he expected to do that, though. It's tight back from the floor. Well, not going to show the replay on that one.
So Mitru, he always looks worried. didn't compete in last year's World Championships. Well, as I've mentioned before, none of the Greek men did. His particular problem was back problems. Bronze medalist, though, in the World Championships before that in China. Yakovov, the coach, watching on. 15 seconds. One more chance for him to try and get that weight ahead, and that world standard at the moment looking quite a serious test. Maybe the Armenian is going to be good enough, because I can tell you he's posted 167.5 as his next lift, and having posted it, it means that he cannot go back on it now. And here comes the champion of Europe, the champion of the world, but not, of course, at this weight category.
I always feel as if they're holding this man back, because I've never really seen him pushed. Every lift he does seems to be fast, powerful, strong. He never really seems to be in trouble.
Well, this lift would go beyond what he's achieved in major competitions in the last 2 seasons. $162.5.
Well, for my money, that was the most convincing attempt on 162.5. Really fast, perfect positioning, confident lift.
And he's lighter than the Armenian, which means that he now takes the lead. But here's Steinhoffel, also going for 162.5. Vanev, though, 76 kilos 14 he weighed in. He's very much in the light end of this particular class tonight, and therefore even if Steinhoffel gets this, he can't take the lead. He would go ahead of Kapanixian, who's just fractionally heavier than him, so he would go into the Snatch silver medal position.
Oh,
very good. And that really is good stuff. I'm not sure. That could well be a personal best. It certainly is best for an awful long time.
Well, I think Steinhoffel's got a best of 165, but that was 10 years ago. So certainly the best he's done for a while. 10 kilos up on his European performance.
Yes, in fact, you're quite right. Just checking down the record, 165 is what he snatched in Istanbul in '94. I think he's absolutely delighted, because not only has he got a perfect sequence here, but he's right in the fight for the major medal, which is the overall. So, Razvanili, almost forgotten man, if you like. But you shouldn't forget him, because he's a gain light. He's 76.09, so he's lighter than Vanev. So this for the lead in the snatch for the Romanian. But he's going to have to depend on 160, which means his medal opportunity is gone. Steinhoffel got 162.5, but he's finished. Kapanixian 162.5, but he's got 2 lifts to go. Mitru, who's got 162 coming up to lift to take a part in this. Bags of time. Didn't get a snatch in the European Championships this year. It's another man who's not done much in the world ranking categories this year, down outside the top 10.
That doesn't surprise me after seeing the second attempt. I mean, it really was hard. He didn't get it anywhere near overhead. And once you've had a failure, you know, through the weight feeling heavy, it's very difficult to come back on stage and give it 100%.
So 165 for Asidnadze, the next lift. So Georgi Asidnadze coming out now for his second lift at 165, and there's quite a battle here going on between the world silver, I should say the European silver and the European bronze medalist. Asidnadze got the better of the Armenian in Germany. At the end of the day, he was 5 kilos up. Vanev, of course, was the man who took the title, but it was interesting because, David, they both totaled 360, and it was Vanev who got it on body weight at the end of the day in Germany. So Asidnadze very much a contender. And he certainly is tonight.
Well, it's also interesting because if you remember, this man, as I said earlier, snatched the world record. So one wonders if that lift had been passed, you know, whether Vanev would have won or not.
What I also find extraordinary is that he and the Armenian Kaki were added to the starting list only a couple of hours ago. Never appeared on the A list, so obviously they've done a very late correction. But the sooner they get rid of all this A, B and C group business and go to a proper qualification system, the better. Now, Mehmet Yilmaz, 165 kilos. He had a failure 62 and a half. So again, he felt, as you suggested, that it was well within him. It was just technically wrong. Now we'll see whether he's right. He's certainly playing for the high stakes here, because otherwise he'll drop back to 157.
Oh, look at that.
Well, he is in good shape.
Well, he took the gamble, Dave, didn't he? And it came off.
It didn't. It's put him right back in the fight now. That 165. First man to achieve this weight. So he now leads the snatch competition. Well, in fact, Asidnadze, I should say, has got it as well. But just looking at the weights there, Mehmet Yilmaz 76.32 to Asidnadze's 76.66. So he does lead. So it's Turkey ahead of Georgia, and now Vanev. Vanev, though, is lighter than the Turk, so he would take the lead if he succeeds now.
This man's like a coiled spring. Well, that really was surprising, Dave. I've never seen him struggle on the lift. Always thought that from a psychological point he was immensely strong, but it makes you wonder if he's thinking about that elbow injury from the Europeans.
Well, he was going for 165, which is 5 kilos more than he's achieved in the last 12 months in competition. But it drops him back. And you can see here, never gets the ring. So now Kapianikzan, 167 and a half. Asenadze has got one more lift to come, and you are now looking at the world standard. So by my reckoning, this is to put his name on the world standard and create a world record. But Asenadze has already suggested that he's going to come in and put an extra half kilo on to try and break it. But remember, whatever happens now, this man has one more attempt. So now, who does what? Asenadze is now going to come in and try and establish the world record in his third lift, which will leave Kapanixian the opportunity to try and better that. And all he has to really do to win the Snatch gold medal is to lift 167.5, because he's lighter than the Georgian.
Yes, and of course the young lad from Turkey, the 24-year-old who snatched at 165, leading at the moment. So he's got to sit back now and wait and see what these other two can do. Of course, he took the gamble, failed 162.5, gambled on 165. The gamble came off, so he's now just got to wait and see what these two men can do, still left in the competition.
So plenty of time for Asenadze.
So a new world record attempt. Ooh, and it looks good. He did that last time in the last World Championships. They gave him a no lift.
But this time, no mistake. He's asking the questions. And Kapanixian now has to try and answer. He could go for 168 and follow up, try and get a share of the world record, although the first man to get it is registered as the world record holder, but he doesn't really need to do that. All he needs to do is to get 167.5, and what he'll do is take the Snatch gold.
This lifter's amazing. I mean, his technique is not really very good, but he's just immensely strong.
Well, here is Kapanixian. 167.5 kilos, the lighter man compared to the Georgian. So if he does this, remember he's failed it once, but if he does this, then he takes the Snatch gold. Can't do it. And he drops all the way back down to 162.5. And so Giorgi Asenadze of Georgia wins the Snatch gold and takes a world record at 168 kilos, although for the competition only 167.5 will actually count in his quest for the overall title. But he takes the gold. The silver goes to Mehmet Yilmaz, who took the gamble from going up to 165, having failed the second time at 162.5, and the bronze medal goes to Zlatan Vanev of Bulgaria. And down into fourth place, Ingo Steinhoffel of Germany, with Kapanixian of Armenia in fifth place.